So we'll take a couple seconds. I see people are still kind of trickling in. So for those just joining us, share with us via the chat your name and then the level of icebreaker that you're most interested in. Awesome. Thanks, Jim. Awesome, Andy. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. K. Fantastic. And we'll take a couple more, but I'm seeing a common theme already. Awesome. Well, continue to introduce yourself in the chat. We'd love to get to know you, but I'm seeing for 4 for 4 on kind of the career and alumni. So that's where we will start this evening. We're going to give you a little bit of background information on us. So welcome to Break the Ice. We're going to have some fun and games with the Social Equity Alumni Network this evening. Jean, would you like to tell our group a little bit about who the C Network is?
Absolutely. So thanks, Krishana. So we are BIPOC alumni, as you can see from your slide. We really are dedicated to elevating the mission and purpose of the College of Education. We do a series of efforts to try to connect, inform College of Education alumni to the different things that are happening within the college. But we also work actively as a alumni group to really have activities and different things that matter to you as College of Education alumni, and also broaden everyone's understanding and exposure to cultural aspects connected to College of Ed alumni. So we hope that you get an opportunity to learn a little bit from us today, but also find ways to support and connect with BIPOC alumni and staff who are part of the C Network. So that's us.
Thank you. So if you want to stay connected with us, there's a QR code and a link there. We will make sure to pass that link to you as well before we get out of here. But why did we choose to break the ice with you? So thinking about breaking the ice as we all kind of come back from, I feel like, the COVID-19 pandemic and just a lot of crazy years of kind of being disjointed and being in a lot of different places. Breaking the ice allows us to really set the tone. It lets it be known that we care. It allows for us to make connections before we deliver content. And it's an opportunity for us to do that community building. So allowing us to come back together as one community in whatever our capacity might be and create that sense of belonging. But most importantly, it allows us to have fun. So it creates a culture of fun and supports a positive environment. We are going to start with alumni and career tonight because that's where everyone kind of seems to be focused for the most part. And then we'll work our way backwards through some icebreakers. So we'll start with alumni and career, then we'll move to college, then we'll move to middle and high school, and then we'll finish off with one that might work for elementary level students, but also works great for adults. So I am going to pass it to Mia.
Thanks, Krishana. Hello, everybody. My name is Mia Hines. I'm the vice president of the C Network, and I am a 2004 graduate of the College of Education, and I received a Bachelor of Science in Rehabilitation Services. So one of the icebreakers that I'm going to model for you today, or actually I want you to join in a little bit, is Penn State trivia. So how fun. So everywhere, I don't know about you all, but everywhere I go, I am always talking about Penn State. Everyone knows who I am and that I'm an alum and I'm a proud alum. So I love sharing knowledge with my students. I actually work in a college right now. I'm an academic advisor at Florida State University. So I love talking about Penn State with my students and doing fun icebreakers. So one of the icebreakers that we are going to show you today is Penn State trivia. So there's 4 different areas: sports, history, landmarks, and food. In the essence of time, we are going to show you sports. So I have some questions for you, and you can choose either to do 100 points, 200 points, and 300 points. As you all have probably seen, the harder or the more points, the harder the question is. So let's test our knowledge, starting with 100 points. So who is the original mascot for Penn State Athletics? Is it A, Nittany Lion, B, Old Coley, or C, Happy Lion? So in the chat, if you can just share with me what you think the answer is. Or if you want to say it out loud, you can do that too.
Give me a lot of responses for B.
I can see, yeah, B, lots of B's. So let's go ahead and see what the answer is. So the answer is right, correct. So all of you that chose B, Old Coley, that is correct. Old Coley, if you don't know, was a black mule, and he was our original mascot. His skeleton is somewhere at Penn State right now, I believe. So next question for 200 points in sports. Who did Penn State play in its first collegiate football game? Was it A, Rutgers, B, University of Pennsylvania, or C, Bucknell? If you want to put it in the chat, or you can say it out loud. This one might be a tough one. You know, as we get more, as we go farther along, the questions get a little harder.
Got a mix here.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of A's and C's.
All right, let's see what the answer is. C. So all of you that chose Bucknell, you are right. We no longer play Bucknell. They are not in our conference anymore, but they were our first team that we played. So let's go to 300 points. So as before I said, the question is going to get a little harder. So how many times has the Penn State wrestling team won the NCAA National Championship? Was it A, 10 times, B, 5 times, or C, twice? You can put your answer in the chat, or you can say it out loud.
Okay, a lot of A's.
Mm-hmm. I feel like people know that answer. So let's see what it is. You're right. It's 10 times. Apparently, we have won 10 out of the 11 championships, and we just won this past spring again, our 10th championship. So we have a great wrestling team. So you all did a great job. So if you ever wanted to do this again, you will just continue with history, the landmarks, and then food, talking all about all things to do with Penn State. So it's a great game to play, give prizes out to whoever you're playing with, and people really get into it. So it's fun. So thank you. I'm going to turn it over to our college, and that is going to be Alexa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexa Hodge. I am a two-time graduate of the College of Education. I have a bachelor's in science in rehabilitation and human services, and then my master's in counselor education. I currently work in higher ed. I actually work for Penn State in the Commonwealth campus at a Commonwealth campus. So I am here to talk about college, and this is actually an icebreaker that I do yearly with my college students. And just for some context, I do work with first year students. They tend to be first generation, come from under-resourced backgrounds, things like that. But I think that this icebreaker can be adapted to any group. So we can go ahead and I'll give you a little bit, it's a lot of information on this slide. Essentially, the gist here is that what's going to happen is you are going to, this icebreaker really is most ideal when you have a group of leaders or maybe a group of upperclassmen who are supporting other students. And so it's called Judge a Book by its cover because we have been told time and time again that we shouldn't do that, right? So it's kind of like a twist on what we're kind of trained to do. And so how it works is you collect some interesting facts about your leaders. For me personally, I typically have 4 to 5 upperclassmen who will support me and my first year students throughout their first year of college. This is a great way for me to introduce my upperclassmen to those students so that the students can feel more comfortable reaching out to them. So I will collect 5 interesting facts. I love when they are bizarre and kind of out of the blue, things you would never expect. One of my favorite ones was a fact that someone shared that they were in ballet since the age of 3. And I had 2 male peer mentors and I had 2 female peer mentors. And most people guessed that it was a female peer mentor when in fact it was a male peer mentor. I apologize, my daughter is waking up here. So you're going to collect the facts in advance. You're going to put all the facts on slips of paper, jumble them up. Then on the day of the event, what you're going to do is you're going to take your group and you're going to separate participants into smaller groups, say 3 to 5 per group. And what's going to happen is they're going to be provided the slips of paper. And those slips of paper are going to have all of the facts, every one of the facts, but they're not going to know who those facts belong to. So if you're doing this in person, you would have each of those leaders stand at the front of the room and the moderator or the facilitator would read a fact. In the small groups, folks would find that fact on the slip of paper and they would discuss. They would just kind of size up the peer mentors. They would discuss among themselves, who do they think is the owner of that fact? So if we're looking at the example that I gave you earlier, it might say I was in ballet since I was whatever age. They would discuss why they think that person owns that fact. And then someone from the small group will go and physically walk that slip of paper to the person they believe owns that fact. After a couple minutes, after everyone's given a slip of paper to a peer mentor, the facilitator will reread the fact and ask the group leader or the peer mentor, in my case, to step forward, whoever had the most slips. And they would reveal if they in fact are the owner of that fact. And it's so fun when the groups guess the wrong person because the person with the most slips steps forward and they just kind of shrug and then they step back. So the facilitator will ask for the person who actually owned the fact to step forward. And that person will step forward. A lot of times the crowd, the groups are like in shock. They're like, what? Or you'll hear people say, I knew it, I told you, because it's a group decision. And then what will happen is that person will elaborate a little bit more on the fact that they had provided and take questions if there are any questions from the group. And the process just continues. The facilitator reads the next fact, the groups discuss, they provide the slip, and then we reveal. So that's kind of how it is organized. If we transition to the next slide, I'll give you a little bit of details about who this is ideal for. So I personally like to do it with older groups just because we tell people from a very young age to not judge a book by its cover. And the whole point of this activity is to just judge someone by what you see. But ultimately you realize that you in fact can't. It is ideal for a group that has maybe 3 to 5 leaders and I'd say 15 or more participants, so you can get some really good discussion and engagement. You can also have a nice variety of personalities too when you've got a little bit more people. And like I kind of alluded to earlier, the purpose really is to provide a quick and simple way for folks to be introduced to group leaders and participants. It also allows the participants to begin working with one another, and you get to see their communication style and how they might engage with one another. So just really quickly, I don't want to take too much time. I want to try a Zoom adaptation. So if we proceed to the next slide, are these guys familiar to anyone? Yes, yes, yes. I see a couple of nonverbals. So we have Keegan Michael Key and we have Ty Burrell. Now, fun fact, both of these gentlemen graduated from Penn State. So how we would play this game if we wanted to adapt it for Zoom, you could do it a couple of ways. The way that I like to do it is I like to have a picture of my peer leaders. Now, obviously Keegan and Ty are not going to be working for me at my Commonwealth campus, but I would have a picture of my student leaders, a slide with all of them on the slide with all of their pictures. I apologize. And then what I would do is I would read the fact out loud on Zoom. There's less small group engagement, obviously, because we're in Zoom. But then what I would do is I would have folks identify in the chat who they believe is the owner of the fact. So you would have their picture, you would have their name, and the participants can write in the chat who they believe owns that fact. You could also use the annotate feature if you are adept with that, and have them actually put a mark over the face of the person they believe owns that fact. And you would do the same process, give them, a minute or two, maybe 3 to identify who they believe owns that fact. Because they're working on their own, it's going to be a lot less time that you need. But you'll give them some time, identify who they believe owns that fact, and then you'll reveal it. And then the same thing, you'll have the mentors present. I don't have Keegan or Ty here today, so I apologize if I let anyone down, but you would just have them reveal the fact that they own that piece of information, and they could elaborate, they can take questions. So I want to just quickly see if you guys know Keegan and Ty very well. Like I said, they did graduate from Penn State, but in the chat, if you guys could tell me who earned a master's degree in fine art from Penn State. Master's degree in fine art. Okay, Judy says Ty. Thank you, Judy. Anybody else? Any thoughts? Ty, Keegan. Okay. Ty, all right. So I see a couple of votes, and this was actually a trick question. I did this on purpose. They both earned master's degree in fine arts. Ty earned his in 1997, and Keegan earned his in 1996. So I thought that was interesting. I'll do maybe 1 or 2 more. So the next one is, which of these gentlemen lived out of their van while they studied at Penn State? This one was surprising to me. Which of these gentlemen lived out of their van while they were at Penn State? All right, so I see Key. Okay, so Ty, are you guys Googling the answer? The answer is Ty Burrell. So Ty Burrell actually shared that he lived out of his van while he was completing his master's degree in fine art at Penn State. One more. Okay, so who was trained as a Shakespearean actor? That one was easy. So Keegan is the correct answer. Okay, I'll do one more just to throw you off. Who was adopted as a child? By social workers, nonetheless. I see some ties. I'm seeing Keegan, more Ty. Keegan. See, you guys thought I was going to flip-flop. It was actually Keegan. Keegan was adopted by social workers as a child. So that's just a fun way to introduce people to maybe leaders in a group or program or an organization. My students love this activity. It's just a way to kind of introduce them. And then what happens is it kind of sparks conversation throughout that time they spend together over the next couple of days. I typically like to do this at the start of a semester. And as they see each other on campus or in class, they'll then kind of talk about these things like, oh, I didn't know someone else liked, I don't know, Pokemon as much as I do, or whatever it is. So one of my favorite activities. I hope you guys enjoy. And yeah, I will go ahead and pass it over to our middle and high school, and that will be Jessica.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Powell. This has all been so fun. I'm also learning so much from all these games and icebreakers. So thank you all for joining us. So I graduated Penn State in 2007, received a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education, and I currently live in New York, and I work for CUNY, the City University of New York, in academic advising. And so my icebreaker is, labeled here for middle and high school, but honestly, as an adult, I have tons of fun playing this, and it's a really quick game, more than I would say icebreaker, but I stole this from, or I borrowed this from a college professor at the college that I work at. And when he introduced it, we all had such an amazing time. And it was a mixed group of both faculty and students. And so this is as simple as it gets. It's a game of counting. And so any age group from elementary school all the way to college and beyond can play this as like a very simple warm up, break the ice game. I love games. I love anything that has to do with a team goal, and that's exactly what this is. So even when students are so called out of this game, really the goal is to get to a certain number, and then the whole class or the whole team wins, and everybody can rejoice and have a good time that we made it to our common goal. Okay, so I'm gonna pick a number since we have 16 people in here that I can see from our participants. I'm gonna pick the number of 20. That's gonna be our goal. And we're actually, since we're doing pretty good in the chat, we're gonna see if it works for the chat. But typically, what we would do is we would all stand in a circle and we would close our eyes, and then one person would start counting, and then the next person would do the next number until you get to your goal number. So the trick is you can't say the same number at the same time. And to make it interesting, you can also add a timer. So if you can't see who's about to say a number, then you don't know when somebody else might be about to say it. So you want to go 1, another person's going to go 2, the next person's going to go 3. But if you don't know who's going to say it next, you all can end up saying the same number at the same time. And then those participants are out. So it's really fun and it's really quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds. And I want to see how quickly, if we can get to the number 20. Okay, do you think that's a reasonable goal for us? Yes? Okay.
Jessica,
right.
just to confirm, are we going in chronological order? Like we need to start 1 and then 2 and then 3?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank
we
you.
gotta go 1 all the way up to 20. Okay, so I'm gonna be looking at the chat, and we have 30 seconds to get to the number 20. Okay, and anybody can start it off. Okay, there goes Judy. Okay, so we have to start again now. So Darlene and Mia, sorry, you guys are out. All right, and I'm gonna reset the timer, okay? Okay, we have to start again. Andy and Stephanie, you two are out. Let's start it again. Jim and John, sorry. Let's start again from 1. Judy and Kayla, I am so sorry. Let's start again. Good, Alexa. I'm gonna let it go. Keep going. Let's make it to 20. There we go. Awesome. Finally made it to 20. You see, it's a lot of fun. So you can put any twist on this as you want to. Again, this is the first time I've ever done this virtually and in the chat, but you can see it's definitely, you can adapt it to online. But of course, in person, eyes closed, start saying numbers, and you would follow the same, oops, 2 timers going off there. You would follow the same rules. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully it was a little fun for you. And of course, the kids love it all of the time. So thank you. And we're going to pass it on over to elementary.
All
For sure.
right, everyone. I loved that game. I do that with my little ones at school, and we have such a blast with that. It's like, oh no, someone said my number. Now we have to start over. Always, always very fun. So we're going to look at an icebreaker that works really well with elementary students, but also can work really well with adults. I've done it with both, and it's really simple and really easy. I apologize because before I just started talking at you and I didn't introduce myself. So my name is Krishana Goins. I am a 2018 graduate of the College of Education. I have a Bachelor of Science in Elementary and Early Childhood Education with a minor in Education Policy. And then I am currently still a Penn State student, where I'm a World Campus student pursuing a master's degree in curriculum and instruction with a focus on social studies education. When I'm not living and breathing Penn State, I am a first grade teacher in Northern Virginia, where I also serve as a school-based equity lead, and then I am the social media and communications chair for the Seed Network. So if you see things out there from us, it's probably from me. So it's great to see you all. So this is what I call the ice cream icebreaker. And what I like to do is I like to take different things that people might like. So I've done this with gummy bears. I've done this with different places that you might want to vacation. I've done this with different colors. You can really choose anything you want. And what you need is you need 4 different things that fall into that category. So obviously, since this is We Are Weekend, we had to choose creamery ice cream flavors. So the way that this works is that each flavor comes with its own unique question. So each flavor has kind of its own flavor. So you get to choose what is your favorite creamery flavor and then answer that question about you. We have a little bit of time, and I know that I have been talking all day, so it will be so nice to hear a voice that is not mine. So what I would like you to do is pick your favorite creamery ice cream flavor, and when you know what that is, unmute and answer the question that goes with that flavor.
Well, Krishana, I am struggling because I cannot decide between Death by Chocolate and Thon Gold Ribbon Ripple. I had that for the first time last semester. Sorry, my daughter is telling me I need to choose. And I can't decide. So I'm just going to answer one question if that's okay.
Yes, that's perfect.
All right. So where's your favorite place to visit at Penn State? I love the Chambers building, which is like so random and so weird, but I have, like I said earlier, 2 degrees from Penn State. And I was in Chambers a lot. So it just feels like home. It just feels comfortable to me. And some of my favorite people are in that building. So Chambers building is absolutely my favorite. And then the Creamery.
I also get like warm and fuzzies in Chambers. It just feels like I'm back home, and it's cool to go back now and see all the innovation and all of the changes and what students have access to. So I agree, that would be one of my favorite must-do stops on my Penn State kind of trips.
Hey, Krishana, Stephanie is saying death by chocolate.
Oh, where's your favorite spot, Stephanie?
So all this talking about the Chambers building seemed like a good time for me to pop on quick and just thank everybody for coming since I'm in the Chambers building. And of course, if any of you are on campus, stop by and see me in 247. Thank you all for being here and thank you C Network for hosting this. I would say this is terrible. Anywhere outside of Beaver Stadium before a football game, because the energy on football Saturdays and watching people just have fun and connect, and it's students and it's parents and it's just the whole deal. I just love to be around Beaver Stadium on a football Saturday.
That's like the best feeling.
Can I go?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think Death by Chocolate is a favorite. I don't have a particular like commons place, but any like if I could go and make a waffle and then put on my ice cream on the top, that's what I had for breakfast. And that's how I gained my freshman 15. So anytime I went to the commons and could make a big waffle and fix it up with ice cream at like 9 in the morning, that would bring back so many nostalgic memories and weight gain. It's my kid.
I still haven't lost my freshman 15, so I appreciate that comment very much. Andy, you said Scholars Chip.
Yes, I actually haven't had all four of these flavors, but I picked Scholars Chip because it's the easiest question. So I studied statistics and graduated in 1982.
Fantastic. And Andy, where did you say you are located now?
I'm in Jersey, not far from Rutgers.
Oh, I'm a Jersey girl born and raised, so I love to hear that. Anyone else want to share?
Judy had a comment in the chat.
Oh,
But
awesome.
Death by chocolate.
I actually like WPSU coffee break, but it wasn't on the list.
Oh, man.
But
Next
chocolate,
time.
Death by Chocolate would be my next favorite.
There were so many flavors. I was going through and I was like, I like this one and I like this one. And I also like this one, which is why I still have the freshman 15. So yes, absolutely. Anyone else have anything they would like to share?
I really always would go to Nittany Lion Inn, and I would definitely go on Fridays so I could either do the seafood buffet or get some lobster bisque. There's nothing like a Nittany Lion Inn crab cake. So that's my thing. A tip is that they do have the bisque at Whiskers at the Penn Stater, but only on Fridays. So that's my favorite stop.
I'm sensing a room of foodies. I see a C Network food tour of Penn State. I think that could be a lot of fun. I'll switch it up. I'll do Peachy Paterno and I'll say, what is your favorite Penn State event? My favorite Penn State event, it's so tied. But my favorite Penn State event ever is Thon, because I think that it's a really cool event where we come together as Penn Staters to do something that's so much bigger than us. And I think that you see kind of the heart that Penn Staters have within that event. But if you have never been to a Bryce Jordan Center wrestling match, it is like the wrestling equivalent of a whiteout game. It is the most fun ever, and it's so cool. And we almost always win. So, never a bad time. So this is a really easy icebreaker. This is something that you can easily package for any group that you're going to talk to. What I love about this is that you just have to pick 4 things. So you can make it as specific and as interesting as you want to the community in which you are going to be engaging with. So with that, we've kind of walked you through a lot of different icebreakers and a lot of different things that you can do. But if you're ever in search of other great icebreakers, here are some more options for you. So these are 3 pictures that are all hyperlinked to places that have even more options than what we gave you today. I am going to send you a link right now to these slides so you can take these with you and continue to kind of use these things with your chosen community. So thank you so much for coming. What questions do you have for us?
Judy is asking a question about who's attending this week's banquets. It's a good one. Well, that's a good one. Stephanie's question for the group: how do you encourage shy people to participate in icebreakers? I see people talking with the, go ahead.
I was going to share what I like to always try to introduce a variety of icebreakers. Some that are a little bit more for the more extrovert, and then some that are a little bit more for the introvert. So I like to do things that don't necessarily require, specifically I work with college students, that don't require them to speak in front of a large group, but maybe speak with smaller groups. So maybe one person versus speaking in front of a group of 20 or 30 people. I apologize for my daughter. She is chatty tonight. So one of the icebreakers, which I debated on if I should show you guys this one too, is called Four Corners. And it's very similar to what Krishana did. You pick 4 categories within a specific subject. So I might pose a question: what's the best genre of music? And then I'll do 4 genres of music. I will do in the room, I will say, if you believe that jazz music is the best genre of music, go to this corner, and I will point to a space in the room. If you believe that pop music is the best genre of music, I would say go to this corner and point to another corner, right? And so I would do 4 categories for 4 corners of the room, and then I would have them physically move to that space. And while they're there, talk to one person about why you like that genre of music, why it's the best genre. So it's a little bit less overwhelming because you don't have as many people that they're talking in front of. And again, I apologize. She's 9 months and clearly just working on it.
Something that can be really helpful too is having different ways in which people can engage in an icebreaker. So saying if you're more comfortable using a chat feature or writing down your answer and posting it somewhere, we can do that. If you're really comfortable kind of sharing out loud, we can do that as well. So a lot of the times what I like to do if I'm doing something virtually is if someone likes to share in the chat, you as kind of the facilitator can revoice whatever they shared out to the group until they feel comfortable. Or if you're in a physical setting, they can post their answers somewhere and you can kind of read them out to the group until they feel comfortable. So having multiple ways that people can communicate out their answers can be really helpful.
Okay. Well, everyone, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us and being a part of We Are Weekend and joining the C Network. And we do want to continue to thank Stephanie and the Alumni Association for thinking of us and having us here, and for all of you for joining us this evening. We are
Penn State.
Thanks. All right, everybody.